Every defensive coordinator in the WNBA has the same nightmare. It starts at half court. Caitlin Clark crosses the midcourt line, and the point guard assigned to her has to engage immediately, not at the three-point line, not at the top of the key, but right there, 30 feet from the basket. Because if you give her 2 steps of breathing room past midcourt, she will punish you from distances that aren't supposed to exist in any defensive playbook. That's not speculation. That's what happened on a nightly basis throughout her rookie season, and here's what has every defensive staff in the league losing sleep heading into 2026. She is still getting better. You've been watching this build in real time, and many of you have already been saying it. The WNBA doesn't have a real answer for Caitlin Clark. Today we're connecting the dots on why that's true, what it actually looks like on the floor, and why the version of her you're watching right now is the least dangerous she will ever be. If this kind of tactical breakdown is what keeps you coming back, hit that like button. It tells us to keep going deeper on the stories the league would rather not have dissected. Let's start with the three-point shot, because it isn't just a skill. It's an architectural weapon that dismantles entire defensive systems before contact is even made. Professional defenses are built around an invisible boundary, an assumed range past the arc where coaches calibrate their help side rotations, closeout angles, and weak side positioning. That boundary is the foundation every scheme sits on. Clark demolished it and moved it back 10 feet. She pulls up from the logo, 28, 29, 30 feet from the rim, with the same mechanical conviction most players reserve for rhythm jumpers from 18. These are not shot clock desperation heaves. They are deliberate, in-rhythm decisions made because she has mapped the trajectory before the ball leaves her hand. The arc is high, the rotation is perfect. By the time the nearest defender registers what is happening, the net is already moving, and the damage is already done. Watch what this forces a defense to do. The point guard responsible for Clark has to engage at half court, immediately, uncomfortably early. That single adjustment cascades through the entire defensive structure. Help defenders shift forward. The weak side rotates to compensate. Suddenly, the Indiana Fever have a 4-on-3 numerical advantage in the half court, and the play hasn't even started. Clark hasn't touched the ball in the half court yet. Her gravity alone manufactured that advantage the moment she crossed center court. Now watch what happens when the defense overcorrects, when they commit the extra body, send the trap early, and dare her to give it up. That is the precise moment her second weapon activates. Because Clark's passing doesn't complement her scoring, it punishes the exact defensive adjustment designed to neutralize it. In her rookie season, she didn't just lead the WNBA in assists. She broke the single-game record with 19 dimes against Dallas, surpassing a mark that had stood for years. But the number is secondary to the mechanism. As defenders collapsed on her three-point threat, Clark found passing windows those defenders swore didn't exist. Bounce passes threading through traffic, behind-the-back flicks to backdoor cutters, full-court bullets arriving in a teammate's hands in full stride. These weren't highlight plays made in isolation. They were precision instruments that converted defensive over-rotation into layups at a rate that was genuinely unprecedented for a player in her first professional season. The court vision operating underneath all of it functions at a frequency that's difficult to fully process in real time. She doesn't react to open cutters. She anticipates them 3 seconds before the lane materializes, drops the pass through an impossibly tight window, and is already reading the next possession. Her teammates felt it immediately. They started cutting harder, setting screens with more conviction, squaring to the basket before the catch, because they had learned that if Clark has the ball, and they get open, not maybe, not sometimes, the pass is coming. That trust is what converts a collection of talented individuals into a coordinated offensive system, and she built it in year 1. Drop your honest read in the comments right now. Does any team in this league have a real defensive answer for her, or is every scheme at this point just damage control? That distinction matters more than people are admitting, and we're going to show you exactly why. Because the offensive arsenal is only half the equation. The other half is what happened when the league tried to physically dismantle it. Veteran defenders entered that first season with a specific plan. Hard screens, body checks off the ball, forearms on drives. The kind of grinding, calculated physicality that sends a message to every hyped rookie: this is our league, and you have not earned anything yet. For a lot of college stars arriving with enormous expectations, that message lands. The game accelerates beyond their comfort zone. The contact disrupts their rhythm. The hype gradually fades into a solid, but ultimately unremarkable, professional career. Clark didn't flinch. She absorbed every hit, got back up, and played harder. Not emotional, not destabilized, more precise and more dangerous than before the contact. She didn't respond by avoiding physical situations or retreating to safer spots on the floor. She used the physicality as information. If a defender bodied her off the ball, she changed her angle and converted that contact into a screen she wasn't originally going to get. If a guard played her tight on the perimeter, one hard dribble right, a crossover left, and the overcommitted defender was watching a layup or an open kickout from the wrong side of the play. Every time the league deployed aggression against her, she converted it into a quantifiable advantage for Indiana. That is not toughness in the conventional athletic sense. That is intelligence wrapped in composure, the rarest combination in professional sports, and the one you genuinely cannot coach into a player. The Indiana Fever are the proof of concept. Before Clark arrived, Indiana was one of the league's struggling franchises. Attendance was low. National television appearances were scarce. Aaliyah Boston was already a rising star. Kelsey Mitchell was a proven scorer. The talent was there. What was missing was the connective tissue, the player whose presence forces every defensive decision and unlocks every offensive option around her. Then Clark arrived, and the offense that had been predictable and stagnant developed an entirely different pulse. Boston started receiving easier post touches because defenses could no longer sag off the perimeter. Mitchell found open rhythm from three because Clark's gravity pulled defenders out of passing lanes that used to be perpetually clogged. The fast break became lethal. Indiana climbed to the top of the league in fast break points with Clark as the engine, grabbing a rebound and pushing the pace before her second dribble, already scanning 60 feet up the floor for the streaking wing. Games that previously drew 4,000 fans sold out at 17,000. Road arenas that had never sold out for a WNBA game filled to capacity because people needed to see what happened next. That is not a marketing phenomenon. That is the gravitational effect of one transformative player on an entire organizational ecosystem. And if this channel has been your source for the analysis that cuts through the noise and gets to what's actually happening, consider hitting that join button. Every member makes it possible to keep going this deep into the stories that matter. Now here is the number that should unsettle every defensive coordinator drawing up their 2026 scheme. The player who already shoots from the logo, already leads the league in assists, already warps defensive structures before she receives her first half-court touch. That player is the least dangerous version of herself this league will ever see. She is 22 years old. Her body is still physically adapting to professional speed and strength. Her reading of defensive schemes sharpens with every game she plays. Every adjustment the league produces, she counter-adjusts, not across an off-season, across the course of a single game. Early in her rookie season, teams had partial success pressuring her with aggressive full-court defense. She responded by improving her ball handling under pressure, changing speeds more effectively, and turning that full-court trap into fast break opportunities, running the other direction. When defenses sagged off to eliminate the drive, she punished them with pull-up threes from deeper distances than before. When they tightened on the perimeter, she drove through contact and finished or found the cutter. Each adjustment the league made produced a counter she deployed immediately, not eventually. The Steph Curry comparisons are not wrong, but they are incomplete. Both players fundamentally altered how defenses have to organize themselves. Both extended effective shooting range to distances previously considered reckless. Both created offensive ecosystems where their gravity alone was worth 15 points a game to teammates who hadn't changed their own games at all. But Clark arrives in 2026 with something Curry didn't possess at the same age: the playmaking instincts and passing architecture of a true point guard layered directly on top of the scoring instincts of an elite shooting guard. If her development continues on its current trajectory, and nothing in the observable evidence suggests it won't, we are watching the most complete offensive player in the history of women's basketball construct, her prime in real time. The floor she is standing on right now is someone else's ceiling, and she has not started climbing yet. Subscribe and hit the notification bell, because the next video in this series goes somewhere this one only hinted at. The specific 2026 defensive schemes teams are already installing to try to limit her worry, and the data on why those schemes might actually make her more dangerous, not less. That conversation is coming sooner than the league would like. You do not want to be late to it.